good tattoos aren't cheap and cheap tattoos aren't good, it's usually said.
Cheap isn't good. Good tattoos aren't cheap. Cheap tattoos aren't good.
A cheap tattoo isn't good and a good tattoo isn't cheap. So we do encourage, do your research on your artist, and if the artist is good, obviously don't let them pull your pants down with money and stuff, but like you do need to pay what they deserve.
A DIY tattoo artist, or more commonly known in the industry as a scratcher or a kitchen wizard, is someone who tattoos from home or in their friend's basement or in their kitchen, you know, with no training and no understanding of tattooing whatsoever.
You do get, like loads of people get into the tattoo business starting at home, but they work their way up, but then the majority of the people are just ordinary people that see that Mime Ink or something like that and they'll think, oh, I can do this, and they'll buy the cheapest stuff and you get the cheapest possible thing, and that's where you get a really dodgy tattoo that needs covering or removing.
Unfortunately, it's very easy to get hold of equipment because of places like eBay, and they sell cheap tattooing equipment, and because there are no license requirements on there, they don't have to take them off. The council have contacted eBay before and asked them to remove it, and apparently they've been told no because of some of the sort of bylaws around it, and they can't really do anything about it to regulate it. They're cheap, poorly made machines, and a lot of people don't know what they're doing with them.
The more professional studios work together and you're trying to eliminate all of that, but you'll never be able to because it's so accessible for anyone. I mean, you could just type in your internet there, get everything delivered to your door, and the council won't even know.
They are causing a lot of trauma to people without realising how serious it is. They're putting things into someone's skin permanently and scarring them, basically. They have no understanding of what they're doing. It's not just about putting a bad tattoo on someone. They're running the risk of infecting them, they're running the risk of causing damage to the skin itself, which, you know, sometimes, if it's really, really bad work, it's irreparable. You're not going to be able to fix it if the scarring in the skin is that bad. It's also costing us time because we're having to then fix bad tattoos which have been done, which you would think, yeah, it's brilliant from a business point of view. However, you do have to work around the bad work that's already there. You have to consider the state of the skin, you have to consider the state of the person, because their trust has been, you know, they've ruined it because they've gone to someone who has put something hideous on them. So they're much more hostile when it comes to working with you. If they're not too, if they don't know you, then they are obviously concerned that you're going to do the same thing.
Recently, the laws around sort of home tattooing they are changing, and there are being fines issued, and there have been cases apparently where health and safety have stepped in. They've seized items that have been used to tattoo from home as basically unsterile equipment and obviously causing damage to the public. But there's not that much going on, and sort of the councils are very blind to it, and there's not much they can do. For every one artist they probably will stop, there's probably another 15 more just starting to pick up a machine.
But the council, it's like invading privacy if you knock on someone's door, you know, and go, oh, so they've got a bit of struggle with it, if you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't just go knock on a door because they hear a machine. It's like you have to have warrants and all sorts of things these days. So it's a little bit more difficult. Why, if you're in it, if we got someone in the studio now who doesn't have a certificate, we could get done for that. But if you're doing it at home, it's hardly anyone knows, you know? We only know about from the client side. When the client comes, we don't know about the artist side at all. So it's a very dark avenue we don't understand.
I suppose a DIY tattoo artist is obviously someone who's doing it themselves, who's for one reason or other hasn't looked for, hasn't got an apprenticeship, and is teaching themselves to tattoo It's not necessarily, in my opinion, always a bad thing, as long as they practice a lot on themselves before they inflict on anyone else, as long as they ask people who know what they're doing. But ideally, I think everyone should do all they can to get an apprenticeship.
A tattoo apprenticeship is when you serve under someone and they teach you, the way of tattooing. But you also have to put in a lot of blood, sweat and tears to earn that respect to then learn.
It's the best way, I think, of learning to tattoo. It means you've got someone watching over what you're doing, making sure you're doing it the best way you can be doing, giving you advice and tips from their years of experience so that ultimately you can become the best tattoo artist you could be.
Apprenticeships have been around probably as long as the tattooist has been around. Someone who is artistic, wants to learn how to tattoo, they have trust in a tattoo artist, want to learn a trade, just like anybody else wants to learn a trade. They just find a experienced person to learn from. So it's probably been around as long as the tattooist has.
With each artist comes sort of their own adaptation of tradition. The tradition is obviously being an apprentice, learning that way, basically paying your dues in a sense.
With apprenticeships, like mine was quite a traditional one, probably not as harsh as they used to be, because they used to be really harsh years and years and years ago.
I was a proper slave. Nowadays, you don't get that anymore. It's too friendly, if you know what I mean. Way back, we used to get beat down for it. When you were wrong, you were wrong. Now, you still have to smile at the person because there's so many laws and everything. It's taken away from that. So that beat down, hard knuckle learning phase, I don't see that happening anymore.
But I was cleaning mostly, cleaning the tubes, doing their dirty work, folding paper towels, mopping floors, stuff like that for I think about 6 months before I even did anything. So I was just doing their dirty work until they trusted me enough to do something.
Tattoo apprenticeships can vary a lot. I'm sort of the shop artist. I do things for both artists in the shop, and health and safety side of stuff, you need to be able to keep a clean shop as well, and keep things sterile for your artist. Make sure everything's wiped down after every use and thrown away in the right places.
I would say an apprenticeship is, you start off, everybody's got an ego. So when you get into the studio, the job is to break that ego to nothing. So you are nothing. And that's when you start, we start growing you, throwing you different ideas and different projects and stuff like that. But in order to start somewhere, you have to have nothing, because everybody gets egotistical about tattooing. So you take that all away, give them the actual energy of art and all of that, and yeah.
A tattoo apprentice timescale very much depends on the person you're learning from and you yourself as an artist. Everyone develops differently, everyone has a different speed. Some people can pick things up really quickly, some people can take a lot longer. Generally, I think if you're serving a good apprenticeship, it will be a year to 2 years before you even pick up a machine, learning the run-ins of the shop, doing all the run-around, cleaning up, and learning about all the importance of the cleanliness, the sterilisation, how to deal with customers. Also, improving on your drawing and everything before you should even consider tattooing someone permanently.
If you're slow at picking up things, it's going to take a while. But if you're quick at it, and you're understanding everything, and we can see you're passionate about it, it'll go quicker, definitely. First thing of everything is hygiene, cross-contamination. When you get to that step, the quicker you get that done, you can move on. Then you move on from that. So the longer you prolong it, the longer your journey will be.
Finding an apprenticeship is generally quite competitive. There are a lot of kids out there and young adults that want to get into tattooing. It has, due to the media boom, become quite the sought-after career choice. It's a case of getting yourself a portfolio together and going into shops, and these shops are going to have kids come in maybe one a day, maybe one every other day, maybe even 5 a day.
Very hard to get one because everyone wants to be a tattoo artist. If your tattoos and your drawing skills aren't up there, then you're not going to stand a chance, because obviously people only want the best, don't they? So if you're not putting out the best work, then you're going to just fall to the bottom and you'll be nobody and you won't be able to do it, you know, unless you become one of these home DIY tattoo artists.
Generally, an apprentice will have to show that they understand the machine, they understand the industry, they understand what they're doing, the significance of it, how it all works, and that they've got some kind of artistic capability, that they can do what they're doing on skin, on paper. And yeah, normally they'll start on themselves before they go on to other people.
The importance of starting an apprenticeship is the fact that you need someone to guide you. If you don't have that guidance, you're going to go off the rails and you're going to end up as a scratcher with a big ego. The reason you got someone that shows you how to build machines, what needle structures to use, how to put stencils on, how to shave the skin, even little things like that. You know, some people are shaving and it's blood everywhere. Little things, everything needs to be taught.
There's so much that goes into it. Nobody could ever know, you know, what we go through on a daily basis, how hard it is, what a struggle it is, and how much work goes into it. You know, you're working constantly.
For anyone to tattoo the public in this country, you need to be registered with the council, which means regular checks on things like whether you're sterilising your grips and tips, which hold the needles, whether you're using disposable needles, obviously not reusing them. Sterilising any surfaces that are touched during tattooing, it's the beds, that's the workstations, any equipment that's used is sterilised between each tattoo. And yeah, just anything that can be disposed of is disposed of.
Obviously you've got to have all your the equipment that you need, like an autoclave, ultrasonic, spray down like Trigene and stuff like that. As long as you're clean, sterile, and the health departments come in and done a swoop of the place, and obviously they decide whether you can be open or not.
First step is definitely health and safety, which is cross-contamination. Are you bagging your bottles? Are you touching your machines while you got your gloves on? All that kind of stuff, you know? You got your gloves on, so don't touch anything else but your tattoo equipment. That's it. Professional people do take all the steps, and you know, it comes like second nature. If you went to your apprenticeship and it was banged into your head, you're gonna have no problems.
The regulations for the customers, they have to be 18 here. We do have a consent form that we have them sign, and what that does, that protects us and them. It kind of is like a rundown of diseases, anything that can make their tattoo not heal properly or an adverse reaction to a tattoo.
Health and safety will, if they don't think you're doing a good job of keeping your studio up and running, they will close you down.
What they want to do is come in and inspect to make sure the place is clean and like a clinical environment, you know, for the people, you know. So that's why they're here, is to protect the clients basically, and the tattooist for that matter.
I don't think that the public are completely aware of how much work goes into becoming a tattoo artist. I think it's, unless you're involved in that environment, it's not something that people would generally consider, much the same way the public don't really realise how much work goes into their own tattoo or how much work you put in whilst you are a qualified tattoo artist.
I suppose, like with all art, some people care more about having a piece of art than how good it is. If it's cheap, if they can go and buy a piece of art from Argos and hang it on their wall and they're happy with it. Other people obviously want the best art they can get, and the cost is less of a concern. They appreciate you get what you pay for. Yeah, some people care more about the money, some people care more about the quality of work.
Most people are concerned about cost, which is a shame, because it should be the other way around, you know. If there is a really good artist, they're not going to be cheap, which they shouldn't be, because there's so many people doing it, and there's so much crap out there.
There are people that are into the tattooing industry, and their concern is quality, not price. You've obviously got the other side of the coin, which is price, not quality. They're the people that tend to get cover-ups.
I don't think you'll ever weed out the bad tattooists, because they've been around for as long as good tattooists have been around. But obviously with the accessibility of the internet and stuff like that, and tattoo machines and eBay, people are getting these tattoo machines and they're going to continue to do it, you know. And like I said, with the laws, then unless you have a warrant, which is really hard to get, you're not going to be able to stop these people. So, but I don't think, as long as good tattooists are doing it and trying to educate people, then yeah, I think tattooing will be okay.
I think the biggest thing the public can do is to research their artist before they get a tattoo from anyone, whether it's an apprentice or a scratcher or someone established in the industry. They need to go and look at their work and make sure that artist is good at the style of work they want. Yes, I think maybe the public, there is a lot they could learn about how we get into the industry, how the apprenticeships are. There are scratchers out there, there are DIY tattooists. But yeah, the main thing they should do is before they get any ink on them, they should go and look at the artist they want to get tattooed by.